I heard about Arc Raiders really late. Everybody knew about the game, but for me, first time I learned about the game was its final tech test, which is Server Slam right before release of the game. When I first played it at Server Slam, I wasn't really amazed. Game was good and fun, but there was nothing extraordinary or different than other extraction shooters. Only visible difference was third-person perspective. Don't get me wrong, I played the game all weekend when Server Slam was available. But it made me wonder whether the full version of the game would have enough content. Did they show so little content because of the game is coming out so soon and they don't want players to get bored at full release? Or because there is very little content in the full version? Because everyone who played the previous tech test said that the version they played had much more content and that the Server Slam version only covered the first few hours of the game. Because of this, I was really disappointed. The game's release date is also very significant, coming out right between Battlefield 6 and Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and of course after seeing the numbers of players on Arc Raiders Server Slam, Nikita will rush to release Escape from Tarkov the 15 days later of the Arc Raiders release. It is really planning to release a very competitive time zone, and I was also focused for Battlefield 6 at the moment. So I decided to wait for the game's release day instead of pre-ordering it because of these concerns. I would wait a bit and let the streamers and YouTubers experience the game first. I could even wait a week. And finally, the game was released. I watched the people and observed the status of the full version of the game. But I could only wait for 2 hours. Even though I said I would wait a week, I only managed to wait for 2 hours. And I bought the game and started downloading it right away. So I joined this adventure too, and to be honest, I've been playing only this game for the past month since it came out. I'm approaching 100 hours now. You can tell from this that I like the game and I am a little addicted to it. Now we can talk about the game. As you know, it's not a story-driven game, but there is a story unfolding in the background. I haven't followed it closely, but from what I understand, the world has been taken over by artificial intelligence and robots. And these robots are called Ark. Humans live underground in communities, and of course they need things from the surface to survive. That's where we come in, the Raiders. Raiders go to surface to gather resources, and in the process they fight both Arks and, if necessary, other Raiders. In the game, the story serves more as a tool than a goal. It's not main source of the game, but it's there for people who want to follow along and immerse themselves in this world. When it comes to gameplay, for those who are unfamiliar with the game, it's an extraction shooter, where the goal is enter the desired map, gather resources, and extract without dying. Where you gather these resources is entirely up to you. You can search through buildings one by one without bothering anyone, kill the Arks and take what they drop, or kill players who have already gathered resources and loot their drops. By the way, yes, if you die on the map, you lose all the items you are carrying, except those in your safe stash, but I will go into more detail about that later. After looting, of course you need to safely exit before time runs out and return to Esperanza, our home in the game. This is generally gameplay loop, but all the game sessions have their own story. What I mean by this, that you don't just enter the game and mindlessly loot most of the time. There are permanent upgrades you can earn in the game, and most of these are workshop upgrades. You have a workshop in the game where there are various workbenches. For example, a weapon workbench, an equipment workbench, a workbench for health supplies, and so on. By upgrading these workbenches, you unlock more items you can craft without leaving Esperanza. This actually gives you an advantage in the next game you enter by allowing you to craft stronger equipment, like producing better bandages or better weapons. These workbenches naturally require certain resources and development, and you need to find these while you are on the surface. Even if you max out all your workbenches, you can't produce everything directly. Aside from needing resources, you also need to find the blueprint for the item you want to craft. These blueprints mostly come from behind the closed doors or night raids. There are 74 templates in the game, and in my roughly 100 hours of playtime, I haven't even found half of them. In a way, this blueprint hunt is part of your progression and you sometimes join raids just to search for these. So instead of aimlessly searching for loot, every game you enter is shaped around a specific purpose. Of course, this goal doesn't have to be limited to just developing your character. You can complete story quests, finish your character project for the next wipe, or grind through weekly tasks required by the game's ranking system, and the choice is entirely up to you. While doing these activities, your character continues to level up, and you can allocate the points you earn to skills you want from the skill tree, giving you constant sense of progression. Speaking of skill tree, I'd like to elaborate a bit more on this. The skill tree isn't as detailed as an RPG game, nor does it provide features that will change the game, nor does it need to. This is a shooter game, and extreme skills could have disturbed the game's balance. Generally, the skill tree gives you passive stats, things like breaking doors faster or searching containers faster. The skill tree is more of a side element of the game, and I think that's better. My only minor criticism regarding the skill tree is the skill description are insufficient. When you hover over a skill, it usually says something like stamina regenerates faster. No one knows how much faster it regenerates. For example, 10%, 5%. The maximum skill points you can earn in the game is 75, and there is no way to reset the skill tree yet. So, if this description were a bit more detailed, it would help us players more and allow us to think more clearly about how we want to progress in the skill tree. When you think about skill tree, you would also think about quests. Normally, in games like this, you have to complete missions to earn experience points, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case in Arc Raiders. The missions aren't difficult at all. They are very simple, and you can even complete most of them with free loadout, which I will mention shortly. I didn't think I will say this, but Escape from Tarkov's missions and their difficulty balance are better than this game's. Yes, EFD also has many unnecessary difficult missions, but overall I think the mission balance and rewards are better than Arc Raiders. Additionally, mission rewards unfortunately don't give you blueprints or really valuable items. If you know good loot spots, you can easily find these items yourself. If you found the blueprints before, you can craft them in your workshop too. So, in my opinion, whole without experience points quests are very unnecessary for me, and I even didn't do the whole quests. Also, there is an expedition system. The system is actually the wipe mechanism in this game. As I writing this review, the shape of system began to take form. The core concept of the expedition is that you create a caravan for your raider and send your raider along with your resources in the expedition cycle, which essentially means everything you've done will be reset. Workbenches, your skill tree, blueprints, and all the loot in your stash. So why would I reset my raider when I leveled it up and collect bunch of items? That's the thing actually. If you choose to reset, you get permanent upgrades, like permanent skill points. As I said, the current maximum is 75, and by resetting your character, you can increase to 80, as far as we know. The maximum stage size is 280 in the game right now, and you will be able to get extra stage size, costumes, and other features with Expedition. You also need to spend certain resources to build your caravan for the expedition, and of course, you find these resources by going on raids. This adds another purpose to your raids, as I mentioned. Another important factor in the shooter game is the weapon. When I first started playing the game, the variety of weapons seems a bit limited, and it still does. But the game has weapon levels and attachments you can add to them. So there is a huge difference in gameplay between a level 1 Stitcher and level 4 Stitcher with full attachments. I would like to say adding a rare weapon to this equation makes things more varied, but unfortunately, the other weak point of the game is balance between weapons. The weapons imbalance is significant. The Stitcher, an uncommon SMG I mentioned earlier, is currently the most used weapon, especially in PvP. Why? Because there is not much difference between it and rarer Bobcat. And Bobcat requires a lot of resources to both craft and upgrade. You can craft the Stitcher at your level 1 workbench from the start of the game, and upgrading it is very cheap. Right now, no one in the game is using purple or yellow rared weapons. Everyone is using green or grey weapons, and you rarely see blue weapons. This balance definitely needs to change and be fixed. When I die in a match with Stitcher, I don't care because I can easily produce and upgrade it cheaply. But if Stitcher weren't so powerful and I entered the game with rarer weapons to gain an advantage, then the risk-reward balances in an extraction shooter will become more apparent. However, I believe Embark Studios will address this issue in their next major update and establish a better balance. They have made tremendous progress so far. When players complained about the cosmetic prices in the game, they lowered the prices and refunded the difference to players who had already made purchases. This is something most companies wouldn't do during this era, which is why Embark earned my respect. The weapons may be underpowered in the game and poorly balanced, but the satisfying feel of the hits and combat is undeniable. You feel every bullet you fire. When fighting other players, there is no hit indicator in the game, but it does a great job of naturally showing when you break the opponent's shield or hit them, without popping up a huge icon on the HUD. This is very nice and draws you deeper into the game. Of course, there are various pieces of equipment in the game beside weapons. We can divide this into augments, shields, and usable items. Augments determine the type of inventory you have. You can think of them as backpacks. For example, if you equip a looting augment, you can carry more items, but you can only use light shield. Or if you equip a combat augment, your item slot decreases, but you can use a medium or heavy shield. The safe pocket I mentioned at the beginning of the review also comes from these augments. Starting augments allow you to use single slot safe pocket, while rarer augments can increase this number by 3. In fact, the safe pocket system into the game works more based on augments instead of mission or levels. There are also shields in the game, though they don't have many details. There are 3 types of shields in the game: light, medium and heavy. As the rarity of the shield increases, the amount of shield they provide also increases. But the downside is that they add weight to your character. I think this prevents everyone from just using heavy shields, adding a bit more variety to the game. Generally, consumables can be categorized as bombs, health restorers, shield fillers, and movement items. As their name suggests, each has a specific function, and they also vary in rarity from uncommon to epic. This variety allows you to plan when setting up your character before each raid. Beyond these minor details, of course the other things that really draws you in the game is the maps and their design. The maps are generally different from each other and offer you different matches and gameplay. Buried City is a smaller map consisting of buildings, while Spaceport has a huge tower in the middle and it's surrounded by flat open space. The latest edition, Stellamontes, is a completely enclosed map consisting of corridors, and when you enter here, be prepared for PvP. Visually, all the maps are truly amazing. The game already has fantastic lighting and environmental design. They've done an especially great job with the sounds. The footstep sounds could still be improved a bit, but unfortunately, this is a common problem in the most shooter games today. Other than that, the atmosphere, environment, and arc sound really good. The visual design and animations of the arcs are also very good. An article I read after the game came out impressed me even more. They used machine learning to allow the arc AI to create its own animations. As a data analyst and a person who has a little knowledge about machine learning, this has really impressed me. When you break one of the wings of the flying arc in the game, the arc doesn't follow a predefined animation pattern. Instead, it actively uses its own machine learning to create its own animation pattern based on the environment and you. When you think about it, it's truly incredible how far technology developed in games. In summary, the game is really good. As I mentioned at the beginning of my review, I've already played close to 100 hours within the first month. And with the wipe coming in 2 weeks, I will probably sink another 100 hours into it. Narrated uses a PvPvE mechanics beautifully, and instead of using AI that mimics humans, blending the arcs into dynamic gameplay, providing a truly fun extraction shooter experience that sometimes keeps you on the edge of your seat. Although the third-person perspective initially made me prejudged, I think it was the right decision for the game to go in this direction. The game's world is so beautifully designed, and the third-person perspective drives you even deeper into it. Narrated is a breath of fresh air for the extraction shooter genre. The player count on Steam is incredibly high, and if they keep delivering updates quickly, it seems no one will be able to dethrone Narrated for a while. Personally, I am quite happy to be on this hype train right now. If you are new to the extraction shooter genre, I definitely recommend starting with this game. Even if you are a long timer in extraction shooter, still recommend you to try it. It gives new dynamics into the genre. I hope Embark Studios continues to develop this gem and fix the minor problems game is suffering right now, making it a game people will play for a long time. So my score for Arc Raiders is